most dangerous place on earth isn't a war zone or a storm. It's your couch. It's your routine. It's that good enough job that pays just enough to keep you from quitting, but not enough to let you live. Most people don't die in an instant. They die in increments of 8 hours, 5 days a week, tucked away in the comfort of a life they never actually wanted. You aren't resting, you're rotting. And the lid is closing faster than you think. Welcome to Nightfire Sage. This isn't a place for comfort, and it isn't a place for maybe. We're here to dismantle the average version of you and build something unrecognizable. If you're ready to face the truth, you're in the right place. Your brain is not your friend. It is a 200,000-year-old survival machine, and its only goal is to keep you breathing until tomorrow. It doesn't care about your dreams, your legacy, or your potential. To your biology, greatness is a threat. Deep within your skull lies the amygdala, a primitive sentinel that sees the unknown as a death sentence. When you stay in that good enough job or keep that comfortable routine, your brain rewards you with a hit of dopamine. It's a chemical thank you for staying safe, for staying small. We call it the comfort zone, but in reality, it's a biological cage. Your ancestors survived by avoiding the shadows in the cave. They survived by staying with the tribe and eating what was certain. But we don't live in caves anymore. Yet you are still operating on the same outdated code. Every time you feel that itch to do more, your biology triggers a false alarm. It creates anxiety, self-doubt, and lethargy. It's trying to paralyze you because, in the wild, movement meant being seen by predators. Your brain is gaslighting you into thinking that peace is progress. It's convincing you that the warmth of the fire is better than the strength built in the cold. But here is the dark truth. Biology doesn't account for the soul. If you listen to your instincts, you will survive, yes, but you will never truly live. You are being held hostage by a version of yourself that died out millennia ago. To win, you have to stop negotiating with your biology. You have to learn to see your brain's demand for safety as the siren song of your own extinction. The most terrifying thing about the comfort zone isn't that it hurts. It's that it feels good right up until the moment it destroys you. Think about a pool of water. If that water stays still for too long, it doesn't just sit there. It stops being life-giving. It turns stagnant. Algae begins to bloom on the surface. Bacteria thrives in the depths. It becomes toxic not because something attacked it, but because it refused to move. You are that water. When you stop challenging yourself, you don't stay the same. You begin to rot. It starts with your skills. That sharp edge you used to have, that hunger that made you stay up late and study your craft, begins to dull. You tell yourself you're resting, but you're actually atrophying. Your mind becomes slower because it's no longer required to solve hard problems. Your discipline withers because it's no longer being flexed against resistance. This is the slow decay. It's an incremental suicide of your potential. In this stage, your dreams don't die in a blaze of glory, they just slowly evaporate. One day you're 22 with a world of possibilities, and then in a blink of comfortable years you're 35, wondering where the fire went. You didn't have a big failure. You just had 10,000 small, comfortable choices that led you nowhere. You become a ghost in your own life. You show up to the same office, sit in the same chair, and speak to the same people about the same meaningless things. You are alive biologically, but your spirit is being buried under the weight of someday. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll be the person I know I can be. But someday is the lullaby of the dying. Every day you choose comfort, you are actively killing the version of you that could have been great. You are trading your future crown for a warm blanket, and the worst part is, you're doing it with a smile on your face. You are rotting from the inside out, and the world is just watching you disappear. There is a specific kind of hell reserved for the people who are almost successful. It's the person who is almost fit, almost wealthy, and almost happy. This is the danger zone because almost is comfortable enough to live in, but not good enough to satisfy the soul. Let's talk about the most dangerous word in the English language, almost. Most people think the opposite of success is failure. It isn't. The opposite of success is almost. Failure is actually clean. It's honest. You swing, you miss, you hit the dirt, and you know exactly where you stand. You can learn from a wreck. You can rebuild from ashes. But you can't build anything on almost. Almost is a slow poison. It's the feeling of knowing you have the talent to be a leader, but settling for being a reliable employee. It's having a great idea for a channel, but only getting as far as thinking about the script for 6 months. It's being pretty good at a dozen things and a master of absolutely nothing. The price of almost is a lifelong low-grade fever of regret. It's that voice in the back of your head at 2 a.m. that whispers, "You could have been more." It's watching someone else, someone with less talent than you but more guts, take the stage you were supposed to stand on. You watch them win and you tell yourself, "I could have done that." But you didn't. You stayed in the almost zone because it was safe. You stayed there because almost doesn't require you to risk your reputation or your ego. Being almost there means you are close enough to see the finish line, but far enough away that you never get to touch the trophy. You get all the work of the journey with none of the glory of the destination. You spend your life in the waiting room of greatness, watching the door close over and over again. Eventually the almosts pile up until they become your identity. You become the person who almost started that business, who almost moved to that city, who almost changed their life. And when you reach the end, your biggest regret won't be the things you failed at. It will be the almosts that you were too afraid to turn into attains. Stop settling for the shadow of a life. Almost is just a polite way of saying you gave up right before the miracle happened. While you've been sitting in your safe little bubble, something dangerous has been happening. The world didn't pause for you. Time is an aggressive, relentless force. It doesn't care about your plan to start next month. It doesn't care that you're waiting for the perfect moment, or for the economy to stabilize, or for your confidence to suddenly arrive in the mail. Every second you spend debating whether or not you're ready is a second someone else is using to outwork, outpace, and outgrow you. Let's get one thing straight. You aren't standing still. You are falling behind. We have this delusion that life is a waiting room. We think that if we don't make a move, things just stay the same. But the world is a treadmill that is permanently set to sprint. If you aren't moving forward, you are being swept off the back. Look around. Technology is evolving in weeks, not decades. The competition isn't just the guy in the office next to you anymore. It's a kid in a basement halfway across the world who has the same tools you do but 10 times the hunger. While you're recovering from a week of doing the bare minimum, that kid is failing, learning, and getting faster. Your stable industry is being disrupted. Your secure job is being automated. The skills that made you feel special 5 years ago are becoming basic requirements today. The gap between the people who do and the people who watch is widening into a canyon that will eventually be impossible to cross. It's dark and it's cold, but it's the truth. The world has no mercy for the stationary. Think about the people you grew up with. Some of them stayed in the hometown doing the same things, complaining about the same problems. They look older than they are because they've stopped evolving. Then there are the others. The ones who took the hits, moved to the cities, started the businesses, and embraced the chaos. They are different humans now. They have upgraded their minds, their bodies, and their realities. You are currently making a choice to be the person who stays behind. Every day you choose comfort, you are handing your market share, your potential partners, and your future lifestyle over to the people who are willing to be uncomfortable. The clock isn't ticking, it's screaming. By the time you decide you're ready to compete, the game will already be over. The winners will have already been crowned, and you'll be left wondering how the world moved so fast while you were busy staying safe. We need to have a very honest conversation about your safety net. You stay in that soul-crushing job because it's secure. You keep your mouth shut and follow the rules because it's safe. You don't take the risk because you're afraid of losing what you have. But here is the revelation that is going to hurt. The safety you think you're buying is an illusion. In a world that is changing every single hour, safety is just a fancy word for vulnerability. Think about it. If you have one stream of income, you aren't safe. You're one board meeting away from poverty. If you have one skill set that hasn't been updated in 5 years, you aren't secure. You're a dinosaur waiting for the meteor. By playing it safe, you have placed your entire life in the hands of people who don't even know your name. You've outsourced your destiny to a corporation, a government, or a market that doesn't care if you survive. The person who takes risks is actually the safest person in the room. Why? Because they are the only ones practicing how to fall. They are building the muscles of resilience. While you've been polishing the walls of your cage, they've been out in the wild, learning how to hunt, how to bleed, and how to get back up. When the storm finally hits, and it always hits, your walls of security will crumble like wet paper. You'll realize that because you never tested yourself, you have no idea how to survive without the cage. You aren't safe, you're just fragile. You are a captive who has mistaken his shackles for jewelry. True security doesn't come from a steady paycheck or a predictable routine. It comes from the dark, uncomfortable knowledge that no matter what happens, you have the skills and the grit to rebuild from zero. Real safety is found in the fire, not away from it. It's time to stop clinging to the sinking ship of certainty and start learning how to swim in the chaos. If you want to escape the rot, you have to accept a brutal reality. The version of you that exists right now is not capable of reaching the life you want. If you were, you'd already be there. To get to the other side, that version of you has to die. In nature, nothing grows without friction. A seed has to literally tear itself apart to become a tree. A muscle has to suffer microscopic tears under heavy iron to become stronger. Diamonds are just coal that didn't quit when the pressure turned into a nightmare. You are no different. You've spent years avoiding friction, avoiding the burn, and all it's done is make you soft. Rebirth isn't a spiritual moment under a sunset. It's a bloody, industrial process. It is the purposeful friction of doing the things you hate until you love the results. It's the cold shower when you're freezing, the extra hour of deep work when your brain is screaming for TikTok, and the absolute silence of a Friday night spent building while everyone else is out consuming. You have to start seeking out the things that make your skin crawl with discomfort. You need to put yourself in rooms where you are the smallest, dumbest person there. You need to fail publicly so your ego can finally be crushed into something useful. Every time you face that friction and don't flinch, you are sanding away the average parts of your soul. You are sharpening your edge. This is the dark alchemy of success. You take the pain of discipline, the heat of embarrassment, and the weight of exhaustion, and you stay in that furnace until you are forged into something unrecognizable. You don't find yourself. You build yourself one agonizing brick at a time. Stop praying for things to get easier. Start praying for the strength to endure the friction that will make you a king. Close your eyes for a second and look at the person you've become. Now, I want you to look at the version of you that didn't take the easy way out. Imagine a version of yourself that has spent 6 months, just 6 months, doing exactly what they said they were going to do. Imagine a person who doesn't negotiate with the alarm clock. A person who looks at a difficult task and feels a surge of predatory energy instead of a wave of anxiety. This is the unrecognizable self. When you finally kill off the version of you that craves comfort, you don't just get better. You transform into a different species of human. People who haven't seen you in a year won't just notice a change in your body or your bank account. They'll feel a change in your frequency. There is a weight to your presence. There is a cold, calm certainty in your eyes because you've been through the fire and you know exactly what you're made of. The unrecognizable self doesn't seek permission. They don't look for validation in the comments section or wait for a sign from the universe. They have built a relationship with themselves based on kept promises. When they say they're going to do something, it's already as good as done. This version of you is dangerous, not because they're cruel but because they're unstoppable. They have lost the capacity to be intimidated by the world because they've already conquered the monster inside their own head. They walk into rooms and the atmosphere shifts. They handle crises with a smile because they've survived worse in their own training. This isn't a dream. This is a biological inevitability if you stay in the friction long enough. You can literally rewrite your identity. You can shed your skin. You can become the person that the current you is currently afraid of. The only question is, are you willing to pay the price of admission? Are you willing to kill the person you are today to let that titan be born? We're done talking. The time for motivation is over, and the time for a decision has arrived. Right now, you're standing at a crossroads that you've visited 1,000 times before. To your left is the path you know by heart, the path of maybe tomorrow, the path of the velvet coffin, the path of the slow rot. It's warm, it's familiar, and it leads exactly where you are sitting right now. To your right is the path of friction. It's dark, it's steep, and there are no guarantees except for one. It is the only way out. You have spent enough time being a spectator in your own life. You have watched enough videos, read enough quotes, and made enough plans to last 10 lifetimes. The world doesn't need another dreamer. The world is starving for people who actually have the guts to finish what they start. This is your ultimatum. You can close this video, go back to your routine, and let the lid of that casket click shut. Or you can decide, right here in this silence, that the almost version of you dies today. If you are choosing the fire, if you are committing to becoming unrecognizable, I want you to prove it. Not to me, to yourself. Leave a 1% in the comments as a blood bond to your future self. Subscribe if you're done being average and you're ready to join the few who actually build. The clock hasn't stopped. The world is still moving. The only thing left to decide is if you're coming with us or if you're staying behind. Make your choice. Then get to work.